Hi, this is Taylor Jones. We're actually gonna start taking a few more cuttings this time of the year, like late in summer, where now we want to try to get some of these perennials reproduced and rerooted so we can kind of overwinter them, and basically have them ready for next year. So we're gonna take a look at a couple of these plants. Butterfly bush is one of the ones that I've never tried to clone or reproduce before. So I'm also gonna try that one. So when you look at the plant, so I'm looking at this. So again, this is the node here. This is a node. This is a node. The idea is you want to have a node above the cutting so that you can put this node into the soil when you're done. So if I cut right here, ultimately I'm later going to cut off these leaves and put that in the soil. And so that'll be just the first cutting. Let me see if I can also get another version of butterfly bush just to see. I mean, it could also just cut way down and figure out what you're gonna do later, which is probably what I do here. I'm gonna cut this one way down here, and then later I'll probably cut off some of the leaves. There's a node there, there's another node there. So those are the nodes I have to work with. Finally, I'm gonna cut some Bluebeard. I want to see how that does with the same thing. So it's hard to say. I'm gonna cut off this nice flower here. Again, I'll cut it pretty low so I can figure out later how much else I want to cut off. So I got my 3 cuttings, head inside and get them prepared to root, get ready to go.
One question. What does overwintering mean?
Overwintering is just when you literally have your plants indoors. Try to get them to survive over the winter during the cold months any way you can. We have a nice sunroom, so we can put a lot of our plants in there. They still get some sun. Obviously, it's a lot warmer than outside, and just really try to get them to survive literally over the winter. They don't often do very well inside. It's really just to get them through that, so they can kind of make it to spring next year.
If you don't have a sunroom, what else might you do to overwinter?
I mean, any sort of windowsills so they get a little bit of sun. And the idea is that you just want to keep an eye on them so they don't completely dry out. They still have some leaves on them. Indoors, you often have problems with like spider mites and stuff like that, so we really want to check into that. But yeah, it's really just keeping them alive.
Thank you.
All right, so we've just taken our 3 cuttings outside. We got them kind of laid out here. We got the Bluebeard and 2 types of butterfly bush. So again, I'm going to try to get these to a good place. The idea is you want a couple of leaves on top, and then you want at least one of these nodes kind of under the soil. So this looks like this. So just looking at this, I could definitely get that node under the soil. These leaves I might cut off, and then these would be the top leaves. I'm definitely going to cut off here. So that's just out of the way. You want to get all these little flower things generally off. Cut those. You definitely want the bottom leaves off. And then see how there's like, you can see there's active growth there. That's what you want under the soil, because there's active growth. When you put the rooting hormone on it's under the soil, it says, hey, I'm gonna root now. These, I'll definitely cut this flower off. These flowers, these leaves, I'll probably leave those for now. I might cut them later, but I'm gonna leave them for now. So now I got my Clonex rooting gel. It's a real nice thick gel. You basically stick the plant in there and it just stays on. I'll show you kind of how it looks like. This one it's purple this time. I don't think last time it was. All you do is just dip it in there, get it nice and dipped. And so when you pull it out, it just sticks to the stem really well. So I got that on there, it's just sticking there. And again, I'm just gonna put this in my sponge and get the node below the sponge. Yeah, so these are basically just propagation sponges. I don't have the brand, I can probably get that later, but it's just these nice propagation sponges. They have this nice little hole in them. They get nice, they soak up the water, get nice and moist, and they stay moist. Okay, so I got that's my Bluebeard. Now I'm gonna do these butterfly bushes. So the same thing, definitely get rid of this top since I cut so much. These bottom ones gotta go. And then let's see, get rid of this. I don't think I want these. And so I got these 2 leaves here. I'll leave those leaves here, and here's the node. I'm gonna try to get under the soil right there.
And again, you cut all the stuff off because you want to...
The plant doesn't have roots, and so you don't want to spending too much time trying to keep the leaves alive. So you want to make sure that, obviously you want some leaves so you can do still photosynthesize. But if you have too many leaves, it's not going to be able to nurse the leaves and keep them alive. It's not going to want to focus as much time on making roots. I'm going to put this in there. So that's the second butterfly bush. And here's my last one. Again, cut these leaves off by the node. Probably leave the rest of those. Rooting hormone. This will be my last one in here. Get in there. See now that root wasn't under the ground, so I'm gonna cut a little bit more off of here just to make sure I get that root underneath. So now that node is in there. So now really at this point, you really want to make sure that it stays humid, because again, these leaves, basically when you're propagating, it needs to stay nice and humid. So you can either put them in the humidity dome. These are some that I did last week, my last video. So you see these are going pretty good. So you could put it under there if you have one of those. A lot of people don't have those, so you can also just use a simple plastic bag. And I have these little ramekins that are perfect for this. So I just literally put this over. It's in, so I just keep it like in a sunny window, and this will keep it nice and moist. And I literally just set it and forget it. Kind of just come back a week or two later, check to see if there's roots, monitor it periodically just to make sure it's still nice and snug on there. You'll eventually see a bunch of droplets in there and just maintain the humidity. All right, so that's all for this session. Thank you very much for listening. Please subscribe to the video. We've got some other ones that we rooted, we tried to propagate last week. And I know that a couple of these are going pretty well, so they already have some roots going. So now we're just going to show kind of transplanting and the next level of pot. So I've got soil in here already. I talked last time about some different soils that I use. So Miracle Grow is the one that I use. And then there's two other varieties. There's a Happy Frog and Ocean Forest. And these are both made by Fox Farm. And they're both pretty good soils. Happy Frog I use more for smaller plants because it's not quite as strong as fertilizer, and it's got this mycorrhizal stuff in here. I don't know exactly how you pronounce it, but this is very good for, if this gets in contact with the roots just love it. It's like a root hormone type thing. And then Fox Farm is just another one that I use for bigger plants, transfer from here to here with the bigger plants. Fox Farm is a little stronger and has more nutrients and nitrogen, phosphorus, and all that kind of stuff in there. So in this case, I actually have some Fox Farm in this pot already. So I'm going to prepare the pot just by I'm going to transplant one of these cups into here. So in order to do that, all I want to do is kind of do this, just make sure there's a nice hole in here. And I use a cup that obviously doesn't have a plant in it because it's a little bit easier. Just do that, sort of get the hole ready. So now I got a hole here ready to transplant a new plant. Other things you can do, this is more advanced and I don't always do it. But again, here's more of this mycorrhizal inoculant. So it's good, it's organic root enhancer basically. So all you really do is sprinkle a little bit in the hole, because I know that there's not a super amount of roots on there, so I really want more roots to pop and really just take over this pot. So just sprinkle a little bit in the hole. The key with this stuff is you really want it to hit the roots. So you don't really want to put in the rest of the soil other than in your hole, because it's not in contact with the roots right away. It's not going to really do as much. So I put that in there. So next, I'm just going to pick one of my wild petunias. So these are the ones I rooted recently. So I don't know if there's a super amount of roots yet in here, but I still want to kind of show how I transplant this. So I make sure this is nice and snug like that. Then I kind of take it out, squeeze the bottom of the thing like that, and it just comes out like that. Just drop it into the hole. So you already see there's already some roots popping out there. Normally when you transplant, you might see a ton more roots in here, like a bunch of white everywhere. But again, this one, just kind of want to show the process. I do see some roots there, so that's good. Those roots should hit this mycorrhizal. Stick it in there, push it down a little bit, firm it up. This one's be good to go. Now, I obviously won't fit back in there. And since it's a bigger plant, it's not important to maintain the humidity. Obviously, sun is good, so I'm going to put it there on my tray. That one's good to go. Thanks for watching. Please subscribe, and I'll make sure to put what these products on in the comments so everybody knows what they are.